This SUV has the highest safety rating score among real SUVs. I mean petrol and diesel SUVs as tested by Bharat NCAP. Of course, I'm talking about the Mahindra Thar Roxx, and the cheapest version of the Thar Roxx is the MX-1 Petrol, priced at Rs 15.56 lakhs on road Mumbai. And the most expensive variant of the petrol Thar is this one, the AX7L Automatic, priced at Rs 24.56 lakhs on road Mumbai, a full Rs 1 lakh cheaper than the equivalent diesel option. In fact, even though this is the highest variant of the Thar Roxx, the AX7L, there are 7 variants more expensive than this one. How many variants are available of the Thar Roxx? 22. But the petrol is cheaper because it's a petrol and there is no 4-wheel drive for the petrol. Sorry NCR guys, I will come to buy your diesel Thar Roxx for cheap after 10 years. Today I'm going to give you a drive experience of the petrol Thar Roxx. And this engine is certainly not the one to buy. More on that later. Let's quickly recap. The Thar Roxx looks like a Jeep Wrangler Lite, but I don't like the grille and I don't find it to have the wide look of the 3-door Thar. But the Easter eggs are cool and so are the exposed door hinges. Yeah, the alloy wheels could be better in terms of design. This area isn't well done either. I mean, the design could be better, but then it's not so apparent in black. The interior is well appointed, but this color just doesn't work in India. I mean, look at the seats. They are already so dirty. Why can't 2-wheel drive guys get the Mocha interior? The seats are comfortable and have the cooling function, while space at the rear is good and you can recline the seat too, but under-thigh support is poor. The boot is quite big, but the opening mechanism lacks practicality. The Thar Roxx has plenty of features. In fact, it is so well equipped that it makes the more expensive Scorpio N look overpriced and under-equipped. But the Scorpio N is a better car. I know a black Scorpio N is always so gorgeous, but right now let's focus on the Mahindra Thar 5-door. I like the high-resolution 10.25-inch instrument cluster and the blind view monitor is super cool. But this is not an easy cluster to navigate. The 10.25-inch infotainment screen is slick with cool adventure stats and a nice 360-degree parking camera. The sunroof should have started a bit earlier, but the glass that opens is big. Well, that's what she said. Electric parking brake is unnecessary, and so is auto hold in such a car. But then it's for men who are losing their masculinity. The wireless charger only works when you remove your phone case, so that could be better too. But the big question is, should you buy a petrol Thar Roxx? The answer is a big fat no, only because of this. Yeah, this guy is returning 6.1 kilometers per liter, which is terrible mileage. Anyway, straight away, let's come into drive. Let's change the drive mode. Let's come into the more powerful zoom drive mode. And I am going to have to press the button here. It does not toggle through like this. So if I keep pressing this button, it's not going to select that mode only. So that's something which could have been better. What could have been further better is the fact that the steering wheel cannot be adjusted for reach. It's only adjustable for height. Meanwhile, let's quickly come into the adventure statistics here. Yeah, you can see a lot of information. So let's come into the vehicle info bit and let me just toggle through here. Okay, I'm just going to put the power and torque meter. No, I'm going to put the roll and pitch. Here also I'm going to come out and I'm going to put adventure statistics. Left foot on the brake, right foot on the accelerator, traction control off. I keep this button pressed. It's telling me the check tire direction thing, which is actually a cool thing. So yeah, attention detail is actually quite nice. And look at this, the screen has hang. So that's another thing which Mahindra really needs to work on, because it does have these errors time and again where you simply don't understand what's happening. Hazard lights off and off we go. Upshifting around 5000 RPM. So once I change the drive mode, it obviously changes the cluster mode as well. The reason not to get the petrol is simply because it drinks a lot of fuel and it doesn't feel as punchy as the diesel, in spite of the fact that this is the most powerful version of the Thar Roxx, because this is a 2-liter TGDI motor, turbocharged direct injection engine, which produces 175 horsepower and 380 Newton meters of torque. In comparison to the diesel, this one is producing 3 horsepower more and 10 Newton meters more torque, which is not much because the petrol is obviously lighter, and the petrol, since it's not available with 4-wheel drive, is even more lighter, because if you opt for the 4-wheel drive version of the Thar Roxx diesel, well, then you are carrying a lot of weight as well. So yes, this is lighter, but the diesel is just better because diesel engines have that initial torque lower down, which gives it better grunt. Here the problem is you have to really rev the nuts out of the motor to get going fast. I mean, the mid-range is good, turbo lag is well contained, motor is super duper refined. In fact, even the diesel is super duper refined. Only once you get into the higher end of the rev range do you realize, okay, the diesel is making quite a lot of sound and drone. Otherwise, this engine is like super makhan. But because this car's weight is quite a lot, there is absolutely no point whatsoever to buy it. Yeah, there is no sense in buying a petrol Thar Roxx, because with SUVs, it is obviously the torque which matters the most. Okay, steering kickbacks and vibrations are there here, but super duper smooth and refined, which is amazing. That's something which a petrol engine should be always. Now, the ride is not the best because it's a body on frame platform car. So with body on frame now, obviously the ride goes for a toss because of the continuous movement. However, the steering is one of the best I've seen in any Mahindra car because the steering does have decent amount of feel and feedback. It's not overly light, which is in the case of the Scorpio, and here it actually has some feel in the center ahead position, so that's good. Around the corners there's a lot of body roll, like crazy amount of body roll, which is natural considering this is body on frame, this is heavy, this is tall, so you do feel that. But somehow when compared to the diesel, this feels better to drive because of the lower weight, and it's just the fuel efficiency which puts me off here, and the fact that the diesel just feels better, and a diesel is obviously more economical, better torque. In spite of having lesser torque, it's better torque. I don't know how that maths works, but yeah, the maths is not mathing, but the Thar Roxx is roxing. Now in terms of, rocking. Now in terms of the output numbers, now Mahindra has really confused people. So the automatic version of the petrol Thar, okay, it says 20 km/h speed limit here. 20 km/h. What kind of speed limit is it? I think it's for people who are walking here. Anyways, so there are multiple output numbers. So for the petrol, there are two output numbers. So the manual is actually having 160 horsepower and 330 Newton meters of torque. Meanwhile, the automatic is having 175 horsepower, which is 25 horsepower more than the 3-door Thar, because the engine is the same, but the tune is different, and 380 Newton meters of torque. So 50 Newton meters more in the automatic, because this 6-speed Ascent source torque converter automatic gearbox isn't as quick, which is as how much you can do, but no, the throws are actually on the longer side when you talk about Mahindra's gearboxes, but the gearbox is actually slick shifting. The clutch is also having a little longer throw in the manual. Obviously you should get an automatic because this car is better with an automatic, period. Now in terms of diesel, the lower variant is actually producing 150 horsepower and a torque output of 330 Newton meters, which is the same as the manual petrol. Meanwhile, the higher variants of the Thar Roxx produce 172 horsepower and around 370 Newton meters of torque. I've actually dyno tested the car. Yes, I've dyno tested the car to tell you what is the real output. Yes, there is some loss, which is natural, but the engine is supremely capable, which is quite impressive. Now this roll and pitch meter is going to go for a toss when I come across a corner right ahead. The horn, that's fine. It could have a more manly horn considering it's a real SUV in a sea of unreal SUVs or Tropicana SUVs. That's a really bad joke. It actually drives really well. The manners of this car are very impressive, just that the engine is a drinker, the petrol one, and it does not redline high enough. Yeah, so the redline is quite less for a petrol engine. It should redline higher, since we are just stuck behind other cars right now. Let's quickly change the drive mode here, and I'm going to come into the zip drive mode. So there are 5 drive modes. There's zip, zoom, snow, mud and sand, and I'll tell you what, you don't feel much of a difference between these modes, at least not between zip and zoom. Zoom feels a bit more aggressive. I think zoom is the sport mode here, zip is the city mode here, and there's no eco mode, where this car actually needs an eco mode because obviously drinking habit is quite apparent, which is expected considering the weight of this car. Petrol and SUV, they just don't go hand in hand, and Mahindra knows that NCR people are like, हम तो पेट्रोल लेंगे, हमें गाड़ी 15 साल चलानी, हम 10 साल नहीं चला सकते, and that's the reason Mahindra is like, okay, take it, we won't give you 4-wheel drive. So I know a lot of people in NCR who are buying the Roxx are actually opting for the diesel because they want 4-wheel drive, they want to go to Manali, they want to eat snow, so then you have no other option. Now it has got level 2 ADAS. ADAS actually works quite well here. Lane keep assist is quite aggressive. See, it's putting me back in a lane. It does not hesitate at all. Automatic emergency braking, forward collision warning, all of that is there. Right now it's saying that it took me 274 seconds to go from 0 to 100 km/h because we've not done the acceleration test. Why it is not come out of this menu only? So let's come into the zoom mode. Traction control was turned off, but it automatically turns on at 60 km/h. So that's something I don't like. It's happening with a lot of cars these days. Let's come out from here and get into the adventure statistics. In fact, why not turn on the camera? I can do that as well. What an amazing quality of the camera. That's very surprising. I didn't expect the camera quality to be this good, but it is actually quite good. We are going to slow down here, and when I do that, I'm going to turn off the traction control. The steering wheel is actually hindering what I can see, so I don't know exactly. Oh no, did I press the fuel lid button? I did, but the fuel lid would have not opened, hopefully. Traction control button pressed. Yeah, traction control off, and look at this, okay? That was fun. Now it's time to do the brake test. Guys, hold on for dear life because this is body on frame, quite a lot of weight. So yeah, there is going to be that nosedive under heavy braking. ABS pulsating sound. And it's time to do the acceleration test. Revving the motor and off we go. Come on. Oh, upshifting under 5000 rpm. This is a petrol car which actually feels like a diesel car in the way the revs happen, in the way the engine behaves. So that's 9.54 seconds to go from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour, which is very, very, very impressive. Yeah, that is quick. That's crazy quick. Yeah, that's fast. Under 10 seconds to go from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in a body-on-frame SUV. Now, because it's body-on-frame, obviously there are some disadvantages. Is like there's a lumpiness at lower speeds, and people at the rear have a worse ride quality because they are sitting on the live rear axle. But because of the big wheels and the ruggedness of a body-on-frame platform car, the car definitely feels very rugged, and it kind of feels indestructible as well. The only thing is, when you come across bad roads now at low speeds, that lumpiness is there and that movement is there. But if you speed through, you will like it. You will definitely like the way the car rides, because it has a sense of authority to it. It's not a fake SUV, it's a real SUV, proper body-on-frame SUV, which feels way more comfortable to drive than any other body-on-frame SUV. And I'm not just talking about the Thar 3-door. This one car wants to auto-drive, okay? Let me drive, please. AI is taking over the world. So yeah, in terms of, say, the Fortuners of the world and all those cars, this car is like the Endeavour. It's so comfortable, it's so smooth. Yes, you have to put up with that lumpiness and obviously the harshness of the ride, and especially rear seat passengers are not really happy with you. But put that aside and just compare it with the 3-door Thar, you're like, Mahindra is not taking a slight step ahead. They have taken a quantum step ahead, because the improvement in terms of ride, handling, feel, quality and smoothness is just unfreaking believable. It is so amazing how well this car is and the way it is to drive. It's so easy to drive. This is a car which anyone and everyone can drive, and that's the reason they're like, we'll just launch it with rear wheel drive from get-go, because most people are going to get the rear wheel drive because it's more cost effective in that sense. And there you can hear a lot of wind noise, because obviously the windscreen is very upright and the engine doesn't make much of a sound, so it's not very sporty an engine. But then just don't get the petrol. The petrol just doesn't make any sense to me, unless and until your running is so less and you're like, हाँ मुझे 1 लाख बचा के बहुत मजा आने वाला है. Just get the diesel. Yeah, the diesel is the way to go. I know a lot of you are like, what about the AdBlue issues? What about all those BS 6.2 issues? People in the villages have actually got a solution to that problem. What they are doing will blow your mind. They are actually cutting off the exhaust and the whole DEF part from it, and then obviously they have the engine check light on, but the mileage has gone up. I am not recommending you do that. Now I think it has a 57 litre fuel tank, which is a decent size, but for a petrol they should have had a 500 litre fuel tank, because 6 kilometers per litre is really very poor. But then what do you expect? The diesel will return somewhere around 9 to 12 kilometers per litre, again depending on your driving style. But the diesel automatic is the one to buy. Get it with 2-wheel drive or get it with 4-wheel drive, it does not matter. The diesel is the one to get, and get it in automatic only, because I feel it suits the Thar's character way better. Now let me quickly change the cluster mode. It's so cumbersome to use this now. They could have made it so much easier, and I don't understand why the whole ADAS menu is right inside, because that is not the easiest to browse through. It is so freaking confusing as well. So yeah, that's something they could have done better. And why is there a Thar in the instrument cluster? Why do I need to see a Thar? Oh my god, I love the blind view monitor. I don't need to see a Thar in the instrument cluster, because that's not needed there. Collision possible. So yeah, that's also very nicely done. So guys, I think the petrol is fantastic, but it's just not meant for the Thar, but it's not meant for the Scorpio N either. For the XUV700, it's fine. It's a fantastic petrol engine. I wonder when Tata Motors is going to make their own good petrol engine for the Harrier and Safari. Please don't do that. There is no use, because diesel is just way more sensible for a car which weighs a lot, because mileage matters. Yaar, kitna deti hai is in our blood, brother. Now the beauty of this car's gearbox is that if I come into manual mode, I can hold on to a gear. Yes, that's right. I can hold on to a gear. It will not upshift unless and until I decide to do so. That's so awesome. But the tachometer is kind of senseless, and I don't understand only what's happening. So we have to again go inside this cumbersome menu to change it. You know what they could have done better? They could have just given this car paddle shifters. There are no paddle shifters. They're given everything but the kitchen sink. So they could have just given paddle shifters as well. That would have been so freaking cool. So here, revving the motor, and the engine is actually not fast revving. This car doesn't feel like a petrol engine at all. I mean, the engine doesn't feel like a petrol, because the way the engine has been done with very slow revs, not having a high end as such, top end power is not there. It doesn't go beyond a certain point. Like right now I'm revving it completely, and see, red line is coming in at 5,500 rpm, which is quite early. At least 6,500 rpm is what you expect. I'm not even expecting 7,000 rpm, because that would be like asking Mahindra to make a Honda engine. But then let's quickly change the drive mode and let's come into the zip mode, because then the tachometer is just better here. And look at this, okay? Revving it. Slow, 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 slow. That's it. 5,500 RPM. It does not go any further. Honestly, I've driven diesel engines with redline higher than this, so this is like premature redlining. In zoom mode also you can see there, it's just stuck. It does not go beyond that, and it is doing 91 kilometers per hour in second gear. So if they had made the gearing a bit more taller by taking it to 100 kilometers per hour in second gear, I expect it would have beaten this time easily. It would have gone from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 9 seconds, which would be quite unbelievable. Yeah, that's it. We don't want to blow the engine, so let's make a shift there into third. Yeah, the gearbox is seamless in terms of shifts, but it's not very fast. It takes its own sweet time. It's a bit easy going, but that's expected because this is not about sportiness. SUVs, S stands for sports, but it's not about sports. It's more about, how do I put it? Come on, downshift. Look at the way the revs are climbing. Engine is impressive, but just in the wrong place, or rather in the wrong car here. TLDS, too long, didn't see. Well, this is one of my shorter videos. So I would just tell you, if you're looking to buy a Thar Roxx, just get a diesel. Avoid the petrol, because a diesel is a freaking diesel. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. That's the like button, and also subscribe to the channel. And I'm going to go quickly wrap. Bye.